hey, I'm the Magic Duck Brodie singer, and I can't believe that that's going to be the last ever time I start a video off by saying that. You know, being a magician as well as being the Magic Duck has been so much fun. I'll truly miss it, but I just know that it's time I move on with my life onto even better things that I enjoy doing more. But I just want to get on to my life as a magician and the highlights and accomplishments I made along the way. And is there anywhere better to start than what I did for my first 2 years of doing magic? To be honest, I really didn't do much my first 2 years. Okay, next clip. No, I'm just kidding. But I genuinely didn't do much. All I really did was perform to family and friends. And notice how I said my first 2 years of doing magic and not my first 2 years of being a magician. From September 2016 to December 2018, I didn't actually consider myself a magician. I was just someone who did magic tricks, and that was really it. And you might not think that there's much of a difference between those two titles, but trust me, there is. So the point of me saying that was to point out that during my first 2 years of doing magic, I was not a magician, okay? And fun fact, if I had to point out the biggest event for my first 2 years of doing magic, then I would 100% give it to when I met David Blaine on July 12th, 2017 at 10:51 p.m. I met David Blaine when I was 13 years old before I even considered myself a magician, and even before my 1 year anniversary of doing magic tricks, which, extra fun fact, I didn't even celebrate my 1 year or 2 year anniversary of when I learned my first magic trick back then because, well, why would you celebrate your anniversaries of your hobbies? But once it became apparent that I was going to be a true magician, then I started making the year anniversaries a bigger deal. Anyways, there really isn't much to talk about for my first 2 years of doing magic, but just so the scene isn't extremely boring, here's a picture of what I looked like right around when I started magic. Okay, that picture's pretty terrifying. And now there genuinely isn't anything else to talk about for my first 2 years of doing magic, so next scene. It was around December 2018 when I realized, all these magicians are right here making money doing this, but I can too. So that is exactly what I tried. So from around December 2018 to May 2019, I came up with a business and business name and a good way to advertise. Although it wasn't really until midway through that time of me trying to come up with a business until I actually considered myself to be a true, real magician. But I remember that day I released the Magic Duck, May 8th, 2019. I had ordered the business card, I had spent a while creating the business, I had come up with the name. Although, speaking of me coming up with the name, a lot of people wonder how I actually came up with the Magic Duck. So if you're one of those who wonder, here's the story. It all started with me acknowledging my obsession with ducks, and trust me, I've been a duck enthusiast since I was only 3 years old, so it's been there for a while, but that's just a professional way of putting it. Anywho, my nickname for quite some time was Mr. Duck, and then once I started doing magic tricks, I actually couldn't tell you who came up with it, or how they came up with it, but someone had the bright idea that I should change it to the Magic Mr. Duck, and so, that's what I did. But when it came time for a business name, I generally couldn't tell you why I decided to take out the word Mr., but I did, so after all was said and done, the Magic Duck was finally invented with this being my logo, and this being my business card. But I didn't really get to do much with the first invention of the Magic Duck because I didn't really know what I was doing, so it really wasn't until June 1st, 2020, the day in which I recreated my Magic Duck logo into what it is or was to this day. And I'll put a picture of this logo up on the screen, but you're going to see this logo all the time throughout the whole video, but here it is anyway. And this was my business card. It made me so happy to rebrand the Magic Duck. Now, I didn't want to say this in the last scene, but I was actually a little embarrassed to hand out my former business cards. So when I was able to make this new logo and this new business card, it made me rather happy. I thought to myself, and in fact I still do think to myself, wow, this logo actually looks pretty good, and so does this business card. Finally, I was handing out my business cards with pride, and from when those new business cards arrived until now, I probably handed out anywhere from 10 to 15 business cards a week, which was a lot compared to my last business cards where I had 300 to 400 business cards left over and I ordered 500. So the Magic Duck was finally a real business and ready to start operating, getting out there as an even more true magician. Now, before I actually go on to this scene, which is one of the biggest and most important scenes of all, because if you knew the title, it's rather obvious because, well, the title is What Was It Like to Be the Magic Duck and What All I Did as the Magic Duck. But like I said, before I actually get onto this scene, I want to say that the reason why I decided to come back to this setting for such an important scene is because being the Magic Duck was like an introduction into the magician world, and this was the introduction to my video. And this exact spot actually holds quite a bit of significance for the Magic Duck, and the reason why is because tons of my Instagram posts were actually taken right here where I'm standing. I mean, there were literally so many photos that were photographed right here for the Magic Duck, I can't even think of them all, but here's a few on the screen. Anyways, what was it like to be the Magic Duck? I genuinely do not know where to start. Although it was a lot of pressure, it was also a lot of fun. To own a business as a teenager, that is something I'll never forget and will always cherish. Anywho, I had big hopes for the business with me making all kinds of merchandise like shirts, hats, masks. We made pins, we made decks of cards, we made wallets, we made cups. Oh yeah, that was cool. Also, a rather big accomplishment was when I applied for a trademark, and I never really was able to make it for official reasons, but it was definitely a big step for me and the Magic Duck logo, so I'm happy that I tried my best for this trademark, to say the least. But anyways, although the Magic Duck was never really had a takeoff, the Magic Duck was only ever growing and was never going downhill, and for that, I'm truly grateful. So, that was what it was like to be the Magic Duck. Oh yes, my green screen room, where all of my TMDM videos were recorded, and where quite a few of my Brodie's Monthly Magic videos were recorded. And for old time's sake, I'll do this scene with both backgrounds I have for these two series of mine. So the TMDM background, here we go. Even though I only got to do 3 shows, I'm still incredibly happy that I was able to get hired and make money performing magic. Not very many people can say that. Anyways, my first show was actually a kindergarten class with around 12 or 13 students, and the teacher hired me, of course. I didn't get paid to do this show, but it was a really nice first experience. My god, I feel like I'm leaving a Yelp review as if I was one of the people who watched me perform. My god, I'm funny, I'm just kidding. Anyways, this show happened on May 24th, 2019, and here's a picture of what this show looked like. Okay, Brodie's Monthly Magic background, here we go. Anyways, my second show was actually during COVID times, where we had to wear masks and gloves, but I was just happy to be doing another show. Anyways, it was a birthday party, and of course, the parents are the people that hired me. Now, I did get paid to do this show, and it was an overall pretty cool experience. And this happened on October 7th, 2020, and here's a few pictures of what this show looked like. 5 stars out of 5 stars. Now, my third show actually took place at the Bullitt County Fair, and the Fair Board president is the person that hired me for the event, and overall, this was a rather interesting experience. And this show happened on June 17th, 2021, which is actually here not too long ago. And here's a couple of pictures of what this show looked like. 4 out of 5. Anywho, that was what it was like for me to do shows, and that was pretty much it. Now, even though in the ending scene of this video I give lots of thanks to lots of people, they don't actually get to appear on the screen during that scene. So this whole scene is just dedicated to just some of the important people that made my magic career into what it became. This person right here is my mother, Devin Griffin, and she was the first ever person to watch me do a magic trick, so thank you for that, Mother. This person right here is my father, Jason Kurtzinger, and he helped me a lot with creating my business, with him owning a real estate business himself called Cornerstone Real Estate. So thank you for that, Father. So, this person right here is one of my friends, Tawny Noyes, and she's helped come up with many things involving my magic business, like the duck's name in my logo, which is kind of making a debut in this video, so it'll be its first ever appearance and its last ever appearance, which is rather sad, but that's beside the point. But the duck's name in the logo is Gustavo, and she also helped come up with many other things like Instagram post comments and video scripts, such as this one, so thank you for that, Tawny. So these two people right here are actually two of my friends, Jacob and Joshua Collings, and they are actually twins, and they have both helped me equally, so that's why they appear in the same part. But they have helped me an absolute ton by coming up with the design for the back of my shirt, and being my videographers, photographers, prop guys, plenty of stuff. And they have overall been here for me in my magic career since day one, so thank you for that, Jake and Josh. Okay, so there were a bunch of jump cuts in this scene, so just to inform you if you are one of the people who are keeping up, I'm just now moving on from this scene. Now I guess it's time to talk about some of my craziest yet biggest days in my time as a magician. December 3rd, 2020 and December 4th, 2020. It all started because of a Zoom call that every student had to have with a member of my school's administration, and I genuinely don't remember how it came up in conversation, but in my Zoom call, we ended up talking about the magic duck, and then, for whatever reason, the assistant principal actually chose to make a tweet about it. Then, this tweet was actually retweeted by the principal of my school and the superintendent of Bullitt County Public Schools. So I was already pretty fine with what had already happened, and not that that was all that was going to happen, but nope, I had 3 even bigger things to come. 2 of those 3 even bigger things actually involved student shoutouts, which I'll have appear on the screen right now. And one of those student shoutouts were from Brodie's High School, and the other from Bullitt County Public Schools. So that was a pretty big deal and quite a cool thing to happen for me and the Magic Duck. But the biggest thing of all that happened within these 2 days was I actually got contacted by a newspaper called the Pioneer News. They wanted to actually interview me about being the Magic Duck, and get this, the way in which they had heard about me was because of the tweet. I just find that so funny. But here's a picture of the newspaper article that was actually released on January 11th, 2021. Also here it is in real life. And if you want to, you can pause the video if you really want to read what they had to say. But it was really cool to have all of this happen for the Magic Duck, but at the same time, it was quite overwhelming for it to have only happened in the span of 2 days. But it was definitely some of the biggest days for accomplishments that I had as a Magic Duck. When I started becoming semi-successful with my magic, I also started making the transition from being an introvert to an extrovert. This transition took place over 4 months, and just as a little bit of background, I was the shyest kid in school during the years of middle school, elementary school, and if I'm being honest, my entire life before November 2019. But if I was only to give credit to my magic for making me into an extrovert, then that just wouldn't be fair. I have to give credit to the class of Livewire because of how much they helped me come out of my shell. Anywho, the teacher, Steiner, is truly the person that I thank most for that. He taught me how to talk to people, and he really helped me get out of my comfort zone through the class, and without him or Livewire itself, I would 100% not have become an extrovert as fast as I did. As previously said, doing magic was also able to transfer me into an extrovert in many ways. Getting to perform in front of large crowds and to people other than friends and family definitely played a big role in this transition. It just makes me happy to say that I'm an extrovert after all said and done. Both magic and livewire played a major roles in me actually becoming an extrovert, so that's just yet another reason as to why I'm beyond grateful for my time of being a magician and of course my time in livewire. Now, when it comes to becoming an extrovert, one of the biggest times I was willing to put myself out there as a magician was when I auditioned for America's Got Talent season 16. This was definitely a big step for me in magic because I was able to prove to myself that I was willing to strive for things that most see as impossible. Although I didn't make the cut, it was definitely a big step for me in my magic career and one that I am definitely most grateful for. And this is where I did one of my favorite things I ever got to do involving magic. And overall, now I know I said I only did 3 shows, but this was another one of the shows that I did because, well, it is the talent show after all. But seriously, with the encouragement of everyone on the livewire and yearbook staff, the encouragement of my overall friends and family, and my skill in performing magic, I was able to perform my biggest show or trick I ever got to do with about 400 fellow high school students watching. So overall, this was my favorite show or trick I ever got to do and an experience that I will never forget. After talking with the executives of Livewire, the idea was pitched to have a series on the Livewire website called Brodie's Monthly Magic. It was definitely a hit with the staff, with all of them believing that this would be a great thing for the Livewire website, and it was. So next thing you know, in February of 2020, ironically right before COVID-19 hit, I filmed the very first Brodie's Monthly Magic episode right here where I'm standing. It was really fun to film, and I was able to get quite a few people on the series before it ended. Now, although it was truly a lot of fun to film, I'd be lying if I said it was fun to edit together, but I still continue to do it. I even started posting the videos on my Instagram account, which has added on to the work, making me want to quit the series even more, but don't get me wrong, I loved Brodie's Monthly Magic and wouldn't change a single thing about it for absolutely anything. I mean, I don't think I'll ever forget that catchphrase I said at the beginning of every single one of my videos. Hey, I'm the Magic Dr. Brodie Kurtzinger, and welcome back to the whatever number we were on episode of Brodie's Monthly Magic. Today, that I would mention today, we are going to perform a magic trick to whoever I be performing to. I said it at the beginning of 14 episodes, February 2020 to May 2021. That's a lot. But before I go into talking about how much I'll miss my time doing Brodie's Monthly Magic, I feel like I need to give credit to Sophia Blanton. Here she is. This person right here was one of the biggest supporters of me in the Magic Duck, and she was also the official Brodie's Monthly Magic videographer. So I felt as if there was any time that I should be giving Sophia an actual part in this video, it should be during Brodie's Monthly Magic, so thank you, Sophia.
Thank you, Brodie.
But Brodie's Monthly Magic is truly something I'll never forget. So in honor of all these videos and the fact that Brodie's Monthly Magic was truly the one way in which I recorded people's reactions to my magic tricks, after the ending scene there is going to be a series of clips commemorating my time of doing magic as an overall. Now, even with the rush of performing magic and having a business, it's honestly become rather tiring and boring. Since magic has become rather boring, something else has taken over my life, and that's sports journalism. The role of being a sports editor on the Livewire staff has made me realize how much I truly enjoy covering sports and being a sports journalist. There's just something about sports journalism that draws me in. Since my first year on the staff, I've been known for my sports coverage. I was assigned to cover some very unknown sports my first year of Livewire, but little did I know that those sports would make me into the sports journalist you see standing here today. In all seriousness, covering sports has become my new main passion. I loved being a magician, don't get me wrong, but I love being a sports journalist even more, and that is genuinely what I want to do with my life. I truly am looking forward to this career path for myself, and I know it will bring a lot more happiness than magic did, even though that pains me to say, it's just the honest truth. Also, real quick, before I actually end the second to last scene, I just want to point out how much I love Livewire, Yearbook, and just overall the whole Charge Media staff. I know I will say it all over the whole video, and I know you're probably getting tired of hearing it, but it truly does need to be emphasized. So I think the scene right before the ending scene, for it to be pretty much 100% about Livewire, that just makes me happy. And for it to be right outside the Livewire classroom, that's where I am, that just makes me even more happy. But anyways, on to the final and ending scene. And this is where it ends. The room that I practice most of my magic in. And if there's absolutely anywhere that I should end my magic career, it should be in this room. Specifically sitting at my desk where I always practice my magic. This is where I'm going to end my magic. It pains me to say, but that's all I've got. In all seriousness, this has been a huge part of my life, and considering the accomplishments I made, the hardest decision ever. I know I will look back on this time fondly, but it's time I would let go of the dream my younger self had. I always sort of knew that becoming a successful magician would be one of the hardest things to accomplish ever. I can't say I won't miss being a business owner, but it was adding on to my already full plate. But I was still able to accomplish things I never dreamed possible, even with the hardships and battles that I had to face as a magician and business owner. Again, I would like to thank all of my friends and family for making my time as a magician one of the most memorable parts of my teen years, or kind of the only parts of my teen years. I'd like to thank my parents for giving me the determination that I had to try and complete this dream of mine. I also want to thank, my God, what is this turning into, a Grammy Award-winning speech? Okay, no more jokes. I also want to thank Livewire and Yearbook for changing who you see standing here today. In fact,
I gotta be honest, I think Livewire and Yearbook deserve some specifics, considering what it has done for me. We got Steiner himself or Larry Steinmetz, Katie Huffman, Morgan Harble, Mia McGuire, Keelan Davis, Sophia Blanton, Katie Goins, Ella Olds, Dane Bonnell, Rebecca Watts, Shayna Parrish, Avery Smith, Emma Wright, Rachel Johnson, Mallory Roby, Bailey Corfage. Okay, this list could go on for forever. Everyone in Livewire and Yearbook has done something for me to change who you see here today in some way, shape, or form. Now, I could go on listing people to thank for my time in Magic for ages, but if I'm being honest, there are 3 people that deserve some of the biggest thanks of all. But these people have already been mentioned in the video before, but to say I would not be who you see standing here today, whether it be Magic-wise or not, without these people would be an understatement. We have the person that literally helped build the Magic Duck to what you see today, Tawny Noise, and we have 2 others, Mr. Jacob and Joshua Collins. These 2 people have been friends with me and have been here for my Magic career since I learned my first ever Magic trick on September 24th, 2016. I didn't have very many friends before that day, but Jacob and Joshua Collins were there and they've helped me an absolute ton. Overall, I would just like to thank everyone in my life for supporting me as a magician, or should I say the Magic Duck. Anyways, if you know me as a magician, have been by my side since I became a magician, have been by my side since the Magic Duck was invented, or have been there for anything involving my Magic career, I am sincerely moving on. No more being a magician, no more the Magic Duck. It truly is rather sad to be saying those words, but just saying them takes an unreal amount of pressure off my shoulders. So I guess this is it. The last few seconds that anyone is ever going to see me as a magician. I will miss it in an absolute ton, but it is the right decision. I can't wait to start pursuing my dream to become a sports journalist, or in other words, sports reporter. Anyways, I have one last thanks to make. Thank you, the Magic Duck, for teaching me and making me who I am today. I'll miss having that as a nickname, but I'll miss performing magic tricks on a common basis even more. So, for the final time, goodbye, and thank you for watching this pretty long video from Brodie Kurtzinger, or the Magic Duck. You set yourself at the 22nd spot. For the first time, what was your card?
It was a 6 of spades.
It was a 6 of spades? Alright. There we go. 6 of spades.
Hold on. Oh my god.
Now there's seat trapped in between your hand and the table. So now if you just quickly do that, then the whole entire deck is officially red.
That was a wonderful trick. I am shocked.
Yep.
That was awesome. You need an audience to do that with.
And now I just have a red deck of cards to go in the blue box.
Brodie, what? What? How did you do that?
But you're probably wondering what this card was on the table, right? Here, can you just hold that? Alright. So you're probably wondering what this card was on the table, right? Actually, it was the Ace of Clubs, the card that you said it was really, but it's actually the 8 of Spades.
What? That's crazy.
Alright, that was pretty great.
That was cool.
Oh, alright.
Got another one?
The King of Diamonds.
That is crazy.
Oh,
That
wait.
is so crazy. Oh my god.
Wait a second. That doesn't make any sense.
Oh my god, I'm gobsmacked.
Me too.
1 out of 4. And of course, I know you were going to say 999, 1 digit off from the maximum, 1 digit off. And of course, last but not least for you, spring break time, Florida. We got Florida.
That's 50% right there.
If this was your card, would that be a good trick?
Yeah, that would be a good trick.
It's actually not your card, it's actually the 2 red aces, and in here the whole entire time was your card. No way!
That's crazy.
How did she? Can I see that?
Wow.
Yeah. So that was a trick. Why? And thank you to the person behind the camera, and thank you to you.
That was really good.
Is it the 9 of spades?
Yes, it is.
Woo! I was able to memorize the deck of cards in 3 seconds. Have the Ace of Hearts. I knew you were going to choose the Ace of Hearts long before you actually chose it. And
That's
also,
crazy.
you might have been wondering why the bowling ball was sitting right here. People would have guessed, oh, because, you know, I mentioned he's a bowler. But actually, if I turn it over, here's the thing you bowl with. And if I go into the thumb hole, there's a card folded up. As you can see, Ace of Hearts.
What the heck?
You cannot beat that, but let's see what you got.
How did you get that?
Okay, an ace, so that's 14.
Okay.
28. 28, 42? For the first time, what was your card?
It was the 9 of Hearts.
9 of Hearts?
Oh, wow.
9 of Hearts right there.
still. That was the best part. Thank you. Let me get that. All right, there's. Well, missed one. Except for 16 except That was pretty good. I was like, man, you got all the way to the end and you did good. That's good. Thank you so much. How did you do that? I can't say. I need to know. I want to be able to perform this magic trick on somebody. Got all of them right, Dane. How does that make you feel?
You serious?
Yep, you got all of them right.
I got all these right.
Look at that.
Brodie. What sorcery is this, Brodie? What sorcery is this, Brodie?